Good evening and a very warm welcome to Tara Institute. My name is Asvini and I'll be presenting Monday nights this month. I think some of you may be regular visitors here, but for those who are new, a little bit about Monday nights. Is anyone here for the first time? Oh, welcome. The purpose of Monday nights is to introduce some ideas that are explored in greater detail in Buddhist philosophy and psychology. This session is open to people of all beliefs or no beliefs at all. And the idea of these sessions is to be thought-provoking. Shakyamuni Buddha, who founded Buddhism about 2,500 years ago, told his own students, don't just take my word for it, test it yourself. Let me quote Larry Rosenberg, an American Buddhist teacher, who explains this idea very well. I'll just quote him. On first coming to practice, you will find that convictions, inspired by teachings, teachers, and community support, help motivate and energize you to begin your practice. However, this faith is provisional. Remember, the Buddha tells you to test the teachings and ideas as a working hypothesis in the laboratory of your actions. There is an expiration date when the conviction based on external support gives way to conviction grounded in personal experience. At that point, your understanding is no longer borrowed from others, it's authentic and your own. So, ultimately, your ideas of truth must be put to test of lived experience. And throughout his teachings, Buddha offers a very simple formula that guides us in this direction. He asks us to examine everything in terms of cause and effect. Whatever is unskillful, leading to unhappiness or suffering for ourselves and others, needs to be identified, recognized, and abandoned. And whatever is skillful, which brings us happiness, joy, and also happiness to others, should be pursued. We can use this simple formula and apply it to test whatever is knowledge, whatever object of knowledge comes our way. So, as I shared today, I hope some of what I say will spark some reflection, perhaps even disagreement. So we'll have some time at the end of this session for discussion, and I genuinely look forward to hearing your thoughts, your questions, if any. So the spirit of investigation, right at the very start, we need to look at that very closely and keep it very throughout whatever we do on the next 4 weeks. I encourage you to question everything and relate it to your own experience and see if it really works for you. If it does, you can keep it. But if it doesn't, you can just discard it, come back to it later. So, as you might have noticed at the very start of this session, I started with reciting a verse. This or something similar is traditionally recited at the time before any Buddhist teaching or meditation sessions. And the purpose of this is very simple but very powerful. It helps us to set a clear intention or motivation as to why we are here. If we really look at it, everything we do starts with a thought. Every action, big or small, is a result of some intention, whether we are aware of it or not. Thought precedes all action. The fact that you are here just didn't happen. If you reflect, maybe it was some thought that passed in your mind a few weeks ago, a few months ago, a few years ago, to explore meditation, or to find some way of getting genuine, deep peace in your mind. Or from a Buddhist perspective, this motivation could be from many lifetimes, not only this lifetime. So, in Buddhism, motivation is considered extremely important. It's not just a background thought that we just hold. It actually shapes the way we experience our world. Two people can do the same action, but if their motivations are different, the impact on them and the way they experience it will be completely different. Let's take an example. If you want to help someone, in a supermarket carrying their groceries, you can do that action with a sense of obligation because of some social pressure that you should help. As a result, you might feel mildly resentful or relieved when this is over. Or you could do it with a motivation to impress. You want people to think that you're kind and helpful. So there might be some, you might feel good briefly. But this satisfaction often depends on your being noticed or appreciated. Or you could do this with genuine compassion. You see someone is struggling and you really wish them well. And you don't need thanks at that stage. The action itself is fulfilling. And it leaves your heart more connected and warm-hearted. Same action, very different inner experience. All shaped by our motivation. So right now, I would invite you to take a quiet moment to reflect on your motivation for being here tonight. If you would like, you can close your eyes for a minute and think. What brought you here? What do you hope to gain from this time together? Reflect on whether at some level we are here because we want to live happier, more peaceful lives, and think how good it would be not just to achieve that for ourselves, but to be a positive influence on the happiness of those around us. To grow in wisdom and compassion, not just for ourselves, but for the benefit of others as well. Let's take a moment to hold that intention quietly in our minds. Thank you. So the topic I have chosen for this month is integrating meditation with life. So let's start by questioning, why does this topic matter? Why should we care about meditation at all? Because at the most fundamental level, every single being is hardwired to seek happiness and to be free of suffering. This wish is not something to overcome or reject. It's natural. It lies behind everything we do, our thoughts, words, our actions. from the smallest choices to life's biggest decisions, the motivation is always there. We just want to be happy. At this stage, I wanted to ask you, does anyone think otherwise? Do we do anything which is not driven by this motivation to be happy or to be free of suffering? Yep.
Are there not some people that believe that life is difficult and hard on this planet, in this human life, and that happiness is not something that people necessarily strive for?
Yes.
I mean, in the Western world, yes, we hear it all the time, but those with deeper thoughts, perhaps, and a simple life may say that happiness is not the number one
Thing, right. But can we agree that one would wish to be free from suffering? Right? Two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin.
Well, I do have family members, my own family, that believe that life will always have
Ups and downs. Of course, that's true, that's true. But the fact that whatever we do, we never do it with an intent to be unhappy or intent to suffer. So,
and if we can maybe, instead of striving for happiness, striving to try to get peaceful mind
yeah.
instead of a happy mind.
A peaceful mind, I would imagine, is a happy mind.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's for us, for Buddhism maybe, but that's maybe a difference in society, so
Yeah.
peaceful mind becomes a happy mind maybe.
That's right. Yeah.
Do you think it's really the same?
Yes, I think a mind which is peaceful will be happy. It will be happy. As a consequence of being peaceful, it will be happy.
But is that the next step, or is that peaceful first?
I think it is a gradual journey as you go there, but that's where you want to get eventually. We'll come back to this as I present. So how do we seek this happiness? We try to secure favorable external conditions. Wealth, power, comfort, agreement with our opinions and beliefs, good reputation, nice belongings, so on, everything we do. So this version of happiness, which is taught to us by the modern society, depends on success. And success is measured by the degree to which we have fulfilled our desires. The measurement of success is the degree to which we have fulfilled our desires. However, in this pursuit, we run into a problem. As Tibetan master Mingyur Rinpoche puts it, the very nature of desire is that it cannot be satisfied, at least not for long. We can see this clearly in our own lives. Some of our specific desires may be fulfilled, but desire itself is never finished with us. It just keeps morphing, shifting from one object to another, always there. Think back over your own life, from childhood till now. How many of your wants and wishes have been met? Quite a few, probably. Food when you were hungry, toys when you were a toddler, a holiday, a career, a relationship. Even when we get what we want, leave aside when we don't, our desire hasn't disappeared. It just finds a new target. There's also always something new, something more. So if you really look closely, we see that the real issue isn't just desire. It's the mind that holds the desire. It's the mind holding the desire. There's nothing inherently wrong in desiring something that we need or enjoy. The problem isn't the object of our desire. It is the mind that believes that fulfilling desire is the key to lasting happiness. That belief that we hold keeps this desire, wheel of desire, spinning endlessly, jumping from one object to the next. All our experiences, happiness, sadness, excitement, frustration, they all arise in our mind. There's nowhere else they occur. They're all happening in our mind. The experience, the happiness that we so much want, and the suffering that we do not want, all happens in our minds. So if you really want to understand how to be truly happy, we need to look inward at the mind itself. But what do we find when we look at our minds? Do we feel in control of our minds? If we observe our minds, we often find ourselves moving from one emotional state to another with very little stability. As if we are being carried away by a current that's not really in our control. Let's say that we desire a nice hot cup of coffee. One moment we can be excited at the thought of enjoying a cup of coffee. And the next moment we check our phone and there is a text message from work. And we may feel irritated or annoyed. From excitement to irritation. One moment we could be enjoying a conversation with a friend, and it may just turn to a topic which we find very uncomfortable. And then we might suddenly feel anxious or self-conscious. Or nothing may change externally at all. We might be sitting at the beach and suddenly we wish we were back at home on the couch watching a movie. Or we could be sitting on our couch watching a movie and going from being relaxed to restless. When we reflect from our own experience, it becomes clear that mind isn't always under our control. Sometimes it seems that it's being controlled by external factors, and other times it seems to be bouncing up and down for no discernible reason at all. So in Buddhism, this term dukkha is used to define this ordinary existence. Now, dukkha describes a mind that's never completely at ease, that always wants things to be different than they are, a mind that's continuously spinning. The state of dukkha can be interpreted as dissatisfaction, a feeling that no matter how good things are, they could be better. A mind that constantly pushes to change external situations or pulls back to avoid them. A mind that's never content with the present, always buzzing to find a better perch, which it does sometimes, but only temporarily. The consistent theme of this way of existing, this dukkha, is that wanting things to be different than they are. So the question that we must ask ourselves is this just how it is? Is this restlessness, this inner instability, simply the human condition? Something that we must endure, manage, or occasionally try to soothe? Do we just resign ourselves to this push and pull, this up and down, as inevitable? from a Buddhist perspective, the answer is a hopeful no. This suffering, this mental turbulence that we experience is not essential to who we are. It's not fixed and it's not permanent. These disturbing experiences, the moments of irritation, anxiety, craving, jealousy, fear, they arise because of some specific causes and conditions. In Buddhism, they are called afflictions, afflictive minds. Called so because they afflict us, they hurt us. So whenever mind is peaceful, when this affliction arises, we suffer. We have a personal experience of suffering right then. Anger arises, we suffer. Jealousy arises, we don't have a good feeling. So all these different afflictions that arise, they boil down to three primary roots. Attachment, which is this grasping at, craving at things that we find, which we perceive to be desirable. The second is aversion, which is pushing away or rejecting things that our mind perceives as unpleasant. And third is the fundamental affliction is ignorance. Perceiving things in the way that do not match how they actually exist. A mind that does not apprehend its object, which is in accord with reality. It's some kind of a confusion or a misunderstanding of reality, how things exist. So from these three basic afflictive conditions, a universe of mental disturbances can arise. So the liberating insight of Buddhism is that these afflictions, these afflictive states of mind which come and hurt us, seemingly uncontrollably, they are adventitious. They arise because of causes and conditions. Just because they arise, they can also be cleared away. They are not permanent. They come and go. So if we can identify the causes which lead to these afflictions, and we can identify those causes, and if we can remove those causes, we can remove the suffering that's caused to us by these afflictive states of mind. So in order to begin this process, we have to begin with stopping blaming the external conditions for our inner dissatisfaction. External conditions do affect us, but the real source of suffering lies in how our mind relates to these circumstances. And this leads to a very powerful thought. It means that the mind that creates the suffering in the first place also has the potential to end it. When we recognize this, we can begin to turn the mind towards itself. This is the basis of the Buddhist path, the understanding that our own mind is the most reliable source of our clarity, strength, and peace. But transforming our mind so that the afflictions don't arise, suffering does not arise, is not easy. Our habits of reaction, grasping, confusion, are very, very deeply ingrained. And this is where we get to meditation, the topic of our month, this month. So the indispensable tool we have available to us for this very important task of transforming the mind, discovering how it works, and then transforming it, is meditation. Tibetan word for meditation is called gom, which means to get familiar with, to be familiar with, to familiarize yourself with something. So our mind is a creature of habit. Whatever states of mind that we are more familiar with arise easily. If you are familiar with anger, anger arises easily. If you are more familiar with loving kindness, compassion arises easily. So we can see that the definition of meditation itself, when we say familiarity, so if your mind is familiar with afflictions, the afflictive states of mind, if they arise naturally, of course the result is suffering. No question. But if there was a mechanism to convert this, to turn this into happier states of mind, not the afflictive states of mind, then we could potentially get rid of this suffering, the dukkha that we talked about. So if we can work with these habitual tendencies of the mind, and we can increase these positive states of mind that we want to be familiar with, and we can eliminate the negative states of mind that causes this suffering and disturbance. So this act of transforming our mind is meditation. So we can think about meditation as an inward journey in 3 steps. First, we observe, noticing both positive and negative states that arise in our mind. And when we do this, we can see that our mind is uncontrolled. We don't seem to have any control over it. And largely we are more familiar with the negative patterns because we see a lot of suffering arise. The second step is recognize. So we recognize the roots of these unhealthy patterns. We investigate what is the cause for these afflictions to arise. And then, slowly, gradually, we may be able to recognize the attachment, aversion, and ignorance that we talked about. And lastly, we gradually transform these patterns, replacing them with the positive, healthy states of mind. Just like we exercise for the body to keep it healthy, for strength, we can train our mind to be calmer, wiser, and more compassionate and happier. So there are many ways of engaging in this inward journey of understanding and transformation, both within and outside Buddhism. Meditation is not just a Buddhist practice. I think all religious traditions around the world have been meditation in one form or the other. And it can also be a secular practice. You don't have to be a believer to do meditation. But so long as we understand that meditation, the purpose of meditation is to observe, recognize, and transform. So in Buddhism, these practices are grouped into 2 broad categories. The first is stabilizing meditations. The purpose of these meditations is to build concentration, to maintain focus on a particular object, stabilize our mind. And the second group is analytical meditations, where we actually actively investigate and reflect to deepen our understanding of our mind, of all other phenomena that we are experiencing. So in the coming weeks, we will explore both these types of meditations together. Today I wanted to focus on a type of meditation that's become very popular in the Western discourse. It's kind of a stabilizing meditation called the Mindfulness meditation. Probably you are familiar with this. Because this has become so pervasive, it can mean different things to different people. So even within Buddhist tradition, mindfulness can have a very specific meaning when it relates to our mind and our mental factors. So for our discussion this evening, I'm using the term mindfulness to to mean a simple and yet profound quality of moment-to-moment awareness of our experience, just as it is, without trying to change or fix anything. I'll say that again. A moment-to-moment awareness of our experience, just as it is, without trying to change or fix anything. The Buddha captured this beautifully when he said, a monk, when walking, knows that he is walking. When standing, knows that he is standing. When sitting, knows that he is sitting. And when lying down, knows that he is lying down. This kind of awareness might sound straightforward, but we've all experienced what it is to like to live without it, to move through our day in a kind of an autopilot, without being present. Thoughts of the past going through our mind, memories, or plan after plan for future going through our minds, without engaging with the present moment. We could be caught in maybe physically present, but mentally elsewhere. We're caught up in emotions, daydreams, distractions, completely unaware of what's actually happening around us or within us. But if we want to understand the workings of our mind, let alone transforming them, we need to start here by simply noticing. So this mindfulness allows us to check in with our direct experience, to feel the present moment as to what's happening, what's going on. And once we recognize the patterns of our mind, once we recognize what's going on, once we are cognizant of what's happening in our mind, it lays a foundation for more advanced and deeper spiritual practices. So, mindfulness practice is not about changing anything. So I'll just first define what I thought is easier to define is what mindful is not. What mindfulness is not. It's not about improving or fixing anything. It's not about forcing yourself to be calm. It's simply turning towards your experience with patience and kindness. Just noticing what is there without judging it, without leaving anything out. In Buddhism, there are 4 foundations that are used for developing the practice of mindfulness, 4 awarenesses. One is the mindfulness of body, the mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of thoughts and emotions, and then finally, mindfulness of mind itself. So as we practice these, they become subtler and subtler in our awareness. But a good place to start is to start with the mindfulness of the body. Because and for this practice of mindfulness, we use our breath, mindfulness of the body, we use breath as an anchor. So in this practice, we have a very gentle, not too narrow focus on the breath. We just use it as an anchor to bring into our awareness everything that's happening around us. We are not intending to change anything. We are not trying to modify anything. We just want to soak in all the experience, everything that's happening there, without leaving anything out. it's kind of a practice that is completely non-reactive. We don't push away any sensations. We don't push away or chase away any emotions. We rest just in the spacious awareness of what's going on, to get familiar with what's happening around us. So I think I would like to do a practice together, if invited to do that today. And so for doing this practice, I would use these 5 points, but you don't have to remember them. I will talk them through the meditation talk. So the first is the posture. How do we sit when we meditate? And the second is important for me is to relax, to not to get into meditation with a tight, tense frame of mind or body. Third is motivation, why we are doing meditation, coming back to this very important question as to why we are doing this. And then of course the actual meditation session. And then at the end, we have a dedication where we say that whatever positive energy that we have created may become a cause for fulfilling the motivation that we had at the start. These are the simple points. So first, posture. So mind and body are very deeply connected. When we are not feeling well physically, the mind is not happy. And when the mind is not happy, the body also feels not so good. So there is a very strong connection between our body, how we keep it, and the mind. And since we are going to work on the mind, we should find the most conducive position for meditation. And it is said to be the 7-point meditation posture, which represents the enlightened body of Vairocana Buddha. It is when he attained enlightenment, that was the posture that we kind of look at. It's not, it's not easy for us to get all the steps right. The idea is to get, not too uncomfortable, but try and develop a good posture as best as we can. So the instructions are to, to sit on the floor if we can manage that, with the legs crossed, and when we cross our legs, we can have the full lotus position, which is very difficult. I think having both the feet up. The other is just having half lotus, which is 1 foot up, which I am able to manage, not the full lotus. Or you can simply cross your legs and see what you're comfortable with. So it's generally good to keep a cushion to elevate your hips slightly above your knees, which causes a stable base for the meditation. And sitting on the chair is also acceptable, perfectly fine, so long as your hips are at level with your knees. You can take a cushion to adjust your posture to make them at level, and the other is that both your feet should be firmly on the ground. So that's the sitting posture. Now about the hands. So we normally keep rest your hand left on your right on your left, sorry, and thumbs are touching, making almost a kind of a triangle here. That's the ideal posture, but if it feels awkward, you can rest your hands on your knees, on your thighs, or wherever they feel comfortable. Back needs to be straight, but not rigid. If you slouch, if your chest caves in, it leads to dullness, sleepiness. And if you're too tense, the body becomes very stiff and causes tension to arise in the body. So just, it's said that you imagine your back as a stack of coins, following the gentle, the normal curvature of the spine. So it should be straight, but natural, relaxed. And the chin should be slightly tucked, creating a slight elongation of the neck. And again, if your head tilts too forward, you are prone to dullness and sleepiness. And if it's too upright, then it also causes distraction and agitation. So you just keep it slightly bent, slight elongation of the neck at the back here. It is recommended that we keep our eyes half open, with soft gaze directed downwards. So this helps maintain focus, and it prevents distractions. Closing your eyes is fine as well, but the two problems with that is that you can get sleepy, and the other thing is that you're not able to meditate when you can't close your eyes. So if it is not a problem, then it is strongly recommended to keep your eyes half open, so you have a better grip on the object of meditation. The jaw should be relaxed, allowing your teeth to part slightly, and the tongue should rest lightly on the roof of the mouth so that saliva doesn't build up, and your lips should be gently closed. So shoulders need to be relaxed, letting them drop naturally. They use an example of as if you're cradling an egg in just below your armpit. It just kind of helps open the chest, and it's better for the breathing. So just keep them a little bit away from your body. Okay, so now we have the posture. Now the next thing is, in getting that posture, sometimes we can unknowingly create tension and stiffness in our body. So one simple way to overcome this is to do a body scan to see where the tension is, and I will just lead you through a quick body scan, and then we'll go to the meditation. So take a few slow deep breaths, inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly. With each breath, allow your body to begin to relax. Let go of any tension that you might be holding. Now bring your attention to your feet. Notice how they feel. Any sensations at all? Gently wriggle your toes or flex the feet a little, and then let go. Let the feet completely relax. Move your awareness to your lower legs, your calves and shins. Feel into this area. Lightly tighten the calves and then release. Let the lower legs become heavy and soft. Bring your attention to your thighs. Notice any tension or ease. Gently contract the muscles and then relax. Let the thighs settle down naturally. Move up to your hips and pelvis. Sense the contact with the chair or the cushion. Maybe a small wiggle to connect, and then release. Let the hips relax deeply. Bring awareness to your abdomen and lower back. Notice the breath moving here. Lightly engage the belly muscles and let them soften. Feel the lower back spreading and relaxing. Shift your attention to your chest and upper back. Feel the natural rise and fall of breathing. Maybe lift the chest slightly and then release. Let the heart area relax and open. Bring your focus to your hands and arms. Notice any sensation of warmth or heaviness. Gently clench your fists or tense the arms and then let go. Let the arms become loose and heavy. Move to your shoulders and neck. Notice any tightness here. Lift your shoulders towards your ears and then drop them down with an exhale. Let go completely. Finally, bring awareness to your face and head. Notice the jaw, the eyes, the forehead. Scrunch the face lightly and then release. Let the whole face soften and relax. Now sense your whole body together. Grounded, soft, open. Rest here for a few breaths, simply being aware of your whole body. It's time now to set our motivation. You might join me in generating this wish. May this practice help me become more present and aware. And through this awareness, may I find genuine peace within myself and become a source of peace and happiness for others. The object of our meditation today is our own breath. We use breath as an object of focus because it's neutral, always present, always accessible, and naturally calming when observed with awareness. Very lightly place your attention on the breath. Notice where the breath feels most vivid for you. This might be the nostrils, where you feel the air enter and leave. The chest, rising and falling with each breath. Or the abdomen, expanding on the inhale and softening on the exhale. Pick one area and rest your attention there. Keep your awareness anchored on that point. You can use a simple mental note such as, Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. This gentle labeling helps keep the mind engaged with the breath. This is an in-breath. This is an out-breath. Very simple, very easy. What is recognizing our breath is our mind. The object of our mindfulness is the in-breath and the out-breath. There's no need to control or modify your breathing. Allow it to flow just as it is, shallow or deep, fast or slow. The key is to observe, not interfere. When you notice that the mind has drifted into thoughts, sounds, or sensations, simply acknowledge it and return to the breath without judgment. This act of returning again and again is the core of the training. Let's stay with this for some time. Very gently bring your mind back to the room. As we conclude, let's dedicate any positive energy generated during this practice. You might silently reflect, whatever benefit I have gained, may it contribute to lasting happiness within myself, and may it support the happiness and well-being of all beings. Thank you. You might just want to reflect on how that felt to you, felt, and how the experience was. So this is very simple practice of developing mindfulness, starting point where we start to observe what's happening, acknowledge what's happening. In the next sessions, we will talk more about the other forms of meditation that we discussed or introduced. So I'll probably stop here. I've got something that I want to say, but I don't think we have the time. So in the session, I think I hope to have introduced this practice of mindfulness and also explain as to what meditation is, why it is important, and how it can be a tool to transform our mind from a mind of suffering to a mind of peace and happiness. So, are there any questions that come to mind, or any observations?
Yeah. Was it attachment, aversion, and
Ignorance. It's some kind of a confusion about how things exist, how our mind perceives them to exist.
You mentioned having your eyes, so your eyes are half closed.
Yes.
And then you sort of focus on
Yeah.
the
Yeah. A few feet, it's just downward gaze. And keeping eyes half open is considered useful because you can meditate any time of the day. And the second is that when you go into single-pointed concentration meditations, with your eyes open, you can hold on to the object. You can have a firmer grip on the object. In this practice, our attention was not very restricted. It was very open. We were allowing everything to come in and go. But in some kinds of meditations, we want to really hold on to the object of our concentration. In that case, having eyes, if you're trained in that way, it's quite generally considered helpful.
I noticed just near the end of the meditation, I could see two shades of colour. One was going from green to white to green. It was just like a rolling. Is there any explanations to why that would be?
I don't know personally. I have no personal experience of that. But I can say that when we start looking at the mind, we are not looking only at the conscious mind, we also start looking at the subconscious mind. So I don't really, I'm not competent to answer that particular observation, but I would say that, the mind reveals itself in meditation. It's the time when you're looking at it, observing it. All right. Thank you very much. And there is, I think, some coffee and tea. I'll stick around for some time if you have any questions. Thank you. Oh, yeah. I've kept some feedback forms out there. If you have any questions, any thoughts, any suggestions that you want to be incorporated over the next few sessions, please do write them down and I will try and attend to that. Thank you. Thanks.